How you doing, everyone? Mikey here, and today we're going to be looking at the guitar. So I put together this PowerPoint presentation to help us just systematically work through some of the basics when playing our guitar. So the first thing we have are 12 basic chords to get us started, okay? Now when we're playing these chords, we want to make sure we get a nice even tone through all of them, and make sure that each string is ringing out nice and clean. Now the first thing you want to do when you're playing and learning chords is don't put tension in your left hand until you're ready to play. This will let you practice a little longer, and this will keep your hands from sustaining a lot of cramps and stuff. So let's look at the first one, G. Now when we put all of our fingers in place, we can do this two ways. I like to do this two ways. You can use your middle up top on the 6th string, 3rd fret. And by the way, if you don't know how to number your strings, we number from the bottom up. So the bottom string, that's 1, and the top is 6. So first, on the 6th string, on the 3rd fret, we put our middle finger. Now I'm just placing it on there lightly, so you don't hear nothing. And then the index finger, I'm going to put on the 5th string, 2nd fret. And then I'm going to slide this ring finger down on the 1st string, 3rd fret. Now I'm ready to play, and I'm going to push and press tension on the strings and then play. And I'm going to play each string individually so you can hear it ring out. Okay? So that is a nice, clean, good chord. Alright? If you find yourself getting this sound, that means something's not right. Either you're not pressing it hard enough, or your fingers are covering up strings. So then you have to rework and make sure that you get a nice clean tone out of each one of those strings. And believe me, before you start complaining about fingers, look at these. Yeah, if these big old brown sausage fingers can do it, you can do it. Okay? Now the second way I like to do a G, I replace the ring finger with my pinky, use my ring finger up top where my middle finger was, and then use my middle finger where my first finger was. Now as long as you have the right or any finger in the right place, it's going to be a G chord. However, there is more comfortable ways than others. Now, one good way about this, I can grab another note underneath, a D, and make it sound a little bit different. This way, I can come back here and grab a C, which we'll discuss later on, and create a suspended chord. But basics first, okay? Now let's move on to A minor. Now we're going to place our fingers in the right spot. Now I have a general rule that if it's in the first or if it's in the back part of the chord, I always use my first finger. And then from there, I try to put my 2nd finger and 3rd finger. Now I find it most comfortable to put my ring finger or my middle finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and then the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and boom. Like that. Now a real quick note, when you are reading these chord schematics, it's like looking at your guitar facing you vertical, okay? So that you can always read it properly, okay? Now once again, I'm going to place my fingers for the A minor chord, and boom, boom. Nicely done. One more time. Boom. Now the next chord is a B minor chord, and there's two ways, as you can see. There's a little green bar and dot. So the first thing is in the blue dots, those are necessary for you to put your fingers down in order to make the chord. So I like to stack it, index finger on the 2nd fret, middle finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then I stack my fingers in the back on the 4th fret. I use my pinky on the 3rd string, 4th fret, and I use my ring finger above it on the 4th string, 4th fret, and you got a B minor. Now for this chord, you're only going to strum 4 down if you use that form. The next form is called a bar form. What we do is we take that index finger and we cover those 5 strings, and we can play 5 down. And if you want to get fancy, you can cover all of it and play all 6 strings. But if you're just beginning, you're going to probably say, that hurts. Okay? So let's begin with just the blue notes if you're just beginning, okay? So let's fill in the C chord. Now again, I like to use my index finger on the one that's back. So you see how my fingers are laying here? Anytime I see a schematic and it's spread out between multiple frets being the spaces between here, I always use my index finger first, just the way the hand's laid out. So I'm going to use my first finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret, my middle finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and I'm going to use my ring finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Once again, not putting pressure on until I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play, and now this one you can strum 5 or 6 strings down. I generally just go 5. Okay. The next is the D major chord. Now the D major chord, this one is only a 5-string strum because the top string is an E and it don't go with the chord, and we'll discuss that later. So we have a first finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and this is a good example of stacking fingers. First finger up top, and then I use my middle finger on the bottom on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and then I use my 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and it makes, I think, a comfortable position. However, people have switched the index and the middle finger and have come up with good results too. Okay. And then, like I said, you can strum 5 strings down with this. Next one's the E minor. 2 ways I like to do this. I like to stack the index up top on the 5th string, 5th fret, and then the middle finger on the 4th string, 4th fret. Or I like to switch my middle finger for the 5th string and my ring finger for the 4th string. Works anyway. I mean, I can use my ring and pinky if I wanted to, as long as your fingers are in the right space. Now let's look at the F major chord. As you can see, you have another green bar and dot and another dot. So first, fill in the blue notes first, okay? Now, the blue notes, this is called a bar when you hold 2 strings with 1 finger, okay? So we're going to bar here on the 1st fret with our 1st finger on strings 1 and 2. Then we're going to use our middle finger to grab that 3rd string, 2nd fret. And then we're going to use our ring finger to grab that 4th string, 3rd fret, and play 4 down. Now with this chord, I don't have my thumb perpendicular to the neck. I have it parallel. That way I can get this 1st finger flat. Okay? I'll show you guys how to do the bar now. The bar is going to fill in all 6 strings, and then we're going to have to move our 3rd finger to the 5th string, 3rd fret, and replace that with our pinky to get a full bar. So again, half chord, full chord. Now as you're practicing, you guys will move on to bar chords, and we'll discuss those here in a second, but that will build up some hand strength, and it's going to be uncomfortable to begin with, okay? Your fingers are going to feel sore. Your hands are going to feel tight and sore. That's part of the process. Embrace it. I call it the suck, because we do have to go through some sucky times when learning stuff in order to get better at it. But discipline will help ease the pain from your fingers, and the more you play, the better you get. All right, moving on to D minor. So you'll notice it's a lot like D major, only we're going to put our 1st finger back on the bottom string, 1st fret. 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and then the ring finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, strumming 5 down. Again, this top string's not part of the chord, so it'll sound all wonky like this. It sticks out like a sore thumb. So only use 5 strings on D minor. For A major, 2 ways I like to do this. Either stack my index, middle, and ring finger all on the 2nd fret, going index is on the 4th, middle's on the 3rd string, and then the ring is on the 2nd string. okay? Or using one finger to sandwich all that and play down, okay? So two ways to play that. I usually do this because I got big sausage fingers anyway. The next is an F sharp minor. We're going to use the first finger to hold down 3 strings this time on the 2nd fret, and then we're going to sneak in our ring finger or pinky, whichever you feel, on that 4th string 3rd fret, or sorry, 4th string 4th fret, and play all 4 down. Now, if you're doing the bar form, you're going to use the whole, the first finger to cover the whole fret, and then the ring finger is going to be on the 5th string 4th fret, and the pinky finger is going to be on the 4th string 4th fret. And you got yourself an F sharp minor. Again, just want to remind you, if you're first beginning, take it slow, put your fingers on there relaxed, and then when you're ready to play, apply tension and play. And remember to diagnose yourself. Is everything being played? Is all the notes coming through clean? Okay. Now let's move on to E major. E major, almost like E minor, but this form you have to use your middle finger on the 5th string 3rd fret, 5th string, sorry about that, 2nd fret, and your ring finger on the 4th string 2nd fret, because you're going to need your first finger on the 3rd string 1st fret. Again, no tension. Now I'm going to apply tension and bada boom. We got us an E major chord. And the last one, but not least, is the B flat major chord. Now on this one, we're going to stack our middle, our ring finger, and our pinky on the strings 4, 3, and 2, all in the 4th fret. Okay? Then we're going to reach back here with our first finger and grab the bottom string 2nd fret and play 4 down. Oops, sorry, I hit a 5th string on that. It's only 4 strings. I like that chord. Or if you want to do the bar form, you bar the whole entire thing and you can play 6 strings down. Okay? It's up to you though. Alright? So those are some basic chords to get us started. The next thing we're going to look at is the guitar fretboard. Now, the schematic I just put up, it's very colorful. It almost looks like a periodic table, but it's not. This is our guitar as it relates to the piano and its ranges, okay? Now let's talk about the schematic. The bottom of the picture is like looking at your guitar facing you, okay? So everything's upside down. So in other words, your thick string, the E string, is actually on bottom, while the other E string, the high one, is represented up top in green. Okay, now let's look at these pitches: E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, A, B flat, B, and then you have A, B flat, B there. Now those pitches are way low on the piano, okay, way down there. All right, but you can see already, and this is something I want to point out about the guitar, the A on the 5th fret, or 6th string 5th fret, and the A open are the same pitch. They're the same pitch, they're the same A. And that's why the similar colors. Now let's look at the blue section, the C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Now all these are blue, and you'll see a lot of these notes overlap on the guitar. Welcome to the nightmare of reading guitar music, okay? And we'll show you how that in a minute. So all this lays out the layout of your guitar. If you have a 24 fret, that's what the numbers up top mean. This means for 24 frets, these are your notes. So from the orange E, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, and then coming back to the 5th string, A, B flat, B, C, now we're in the blue area, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, and I can keep going on one string, although you see a lot of these notes overlap. Now this is what makes reading guitar music a little bit hard, because we have so much overlap when it comes to pitches, okay? But this schematic helps you find your notes if you are reading music or if you need to know what range your guitar is in. This next picture will show us up top. That's what the treble clef looks like for the guitar. And this low E right here is what we call on the piano an E2. Okay? Now this gives you all the main notes all the way up into the orange, and as you can see, when we get up into the orange area, we're getting pretty high up there. I mean, just like, it's almost like what a dog hears. But the range of the guitar is vast, and this schematic on the fifth page will help you all read music and, oh, okay, I need to play this note at this time. Now, if you guys need to know timing and music notation, check out the video I'm going to produce that is just basic music theory. It's a 16-page little booklet slash presentation that will help you all get to understanding the theory of music. Okay, so let's move on. The next thing we're going to learn is some basic scales. Okay, now the first schematic you have is sort of like what we've seen on the fretboard, and it's labeled, and I like that picture because it has a thick string and then a little thin string up top. So again, you're looking at your guitar upside down looking at you, and we're going to be focusing on the third strings here. Okay, so only strings 3 to 1. Okay, now the numbers on the schematic, if you look at the schematic called major, it has 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Those are fingers. So when we're playing in guitar, the first finger is your index, the second is your middle, ring fingers 3, and then pinkies 4. So we follow the schematic starting from the third string going to the first string, and then from the first string going back, and I'll demonstrate that right here. So here is the major scale. So it's going to go third string first, third string third, second string first, second string second, fourth string fourth, first string first, first string third, and first string fourth. And we're going to go backwards now. First string 4, first string 3, first string first, second string fourth, second string second, second string first, third string third, and third string first. And that makes a major scale. Or if you want to sing it, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Okay, now this becomes a great exercise for your hand. So first you learn the finger pattern and the scale and what it sounds like. Okay, then you set yourself to a metronome. I don't have a metronome right now, so what I'll do is I'll count. So each beat, I'm going to try to hit every preceding note in the scale. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's a major scale. Now, interesting fact. How do I do the next scale? So because I start here on the scale, and you'll see on the schematic above, it is an A flat note. So we are playing an A flat major scale. Oh, how do I play an A major scale? Well, guess what? Don't move your fingers from where they're positioned, and it's the same position. What? That's right. If you learn the first finger pattern and simply move it up the fretboard, it is the next scale. So we now play an A major scale. Oh, and then if you go to the third fret and you look, it is labeled B flat. It's a B flat major scale. Same finger pattern, just in a different location. Okay, now what I mean that this makes a great exercise, check this out. Let's go to a decent count, and you guys set your metronome to what you're comfortable with. Okay, check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna move up a half step. Okay, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. You're gonna move up half step. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this becomes an exercise and a warm-up routine for you to get your fingers loosened up. Okay. Now I usually set mine quite a bit faster. I think I'm at 100. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So already I'm at B major right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering, Mike, why do we need to learn scales? Well, because any melody that you hear on the radio or children's lullaby or whatnot uses our scales. In other words, see if you can figure this one out. Okay? Yes, you've probably said Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now watch this. I'm going to use the same finger pattern for Mary Had a Little Lamb, but now let's say somebody wants to be played in the key of E flat. Well, I'm on C, C, D flat, D, E flat, same finger pattern, just in a different location. So every melody you can think about is using a scale, okay? Just like, and this is B flat. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. So this is why we learn our scales. Now, there's 4 main types of scales that we're going to learn for our basics. So the first one was the major scale. The next one is minor. Yes, it's sad. Now, just like your major scale, you can move that up for an exercise. So there's A flat, A minor, B flat, B, and a C. Now, if you're starting out, you may want to go all the way up into your 12th fret and farther, but it's all about getting your hand used to moving. So that was a minor. The next is a blues. You'll love this one. Yeah. Yeah, I love the blues scale. So again, same exercise. So we got A flat, B flat. Sorry about that, guys. B, C, and then D flat. Okay, so here's your blues, and then the pentatonic scale. So this one is either you use it in a Chinese version, or you can use it to bluegrass. So a lot of bluegrassers use the pentatonic scale. It just sounds happy and go lucky. So those are the 4 scales that we're going to be learning, and basic scales to get started with. The next thing is playing by keys and using a capo. Now, playing by keys, if you guys look at my theory booklet, and I'll put a link in this description. Playing by keys, there's 14 different keys we can play in. And right now, we're just going to learn how to play in 3 of them, the key of G, the key of C, and the key of D. If you learn how to play these three with your open chords, we can couple that with a capo. Now, if you give me a second, I'm going to adjust my headpiece here because it's all cattywampus. All right, sorry about that, but like I was saying, playing by key and using a capo. So, like I said, we have 14 different keys we can play in, but we're going to learn how to play in 3 keys and then use our capo to accomplish playing in different keys. So the first thing is we need to know the chords 1 through 6. I put 7 on this schematic to let you know that there is a 7th chord, but it is not commonly used in a lot of music. But as we progress, if we get into jazz, we're going to see a lot of those. But we're not jazzing today. We're just trying to get basic. All right, so the first thing we have is a G major chord, to an A minor chord, to a B minor chord, to a C, to a D, to an E minor. Now, those are the basic chords for the key of G major. Now, if we go to the key of C major, it's C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. Okay? And if we go to the key of D major, it's D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, and B minor. Now, what do I mean by this? So that we have 3 different keys. Let's say we played Wagon Wheel G. Start with a G. Got a G right here, and then a D right there, E minor right here, and a C right there, back to G. Then you get a D, then back to C. Another G, and then back to D major, then an E major here, A minor, C major, sorry about that. Then a G, then we get a D, then back to C major. Now, that's a little low for me. I want it in the key of C. So, everything we just did, G, D, E minor, C, I have to find the equivalents for in C. Okay? So, G now becomes a C. D now becomes a G. E minor now becomes an A minor. And then C major becomes an F. So we get this. We got a C major here to a G major there, A minor, then we got an F major, C to the G, and then to F major. Then a C major again, then a G, and then an A minor here, and then an F major there, C to a G, then F major. Now, I can go a little bit higher. Let's do it in D. Again, we make the switches. C becomes D. G becomes A. E minor becomes B minor. And then F becomes G. And then we get this. We got a D major here, and then an A major there, and then a B minor to a G major, D to an A, then G major, D major here, and then an A major there, B minor, then a G major here, D major, A major to the B, or A, G, sorry. Now, this is a process called transposing. Transposing is where you're taking a song that was written in one key and you're changing it to a different key for either said vocalists or instruments. Some instruments play fantastic in other keys than others. So that being said, those 3 keys we've already learned how to play in G, C, and D. But if we look at the next one where it says capo, this tells you what I believe are the optimal keys you can play in. Now, we only learn how to play in the keys G, C, and D. But what if we need to play an A? Well, this tells you to put the capo, this little device right here, on 2, and then play the G chords. So if we remember our G chords for Wagon Wheel, it's G, D, E minor, C, except now we're going to do that with the capo. All right? So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then it's a G major here, then a D major there, E minor, then to a C major, G to a D, then to a C major, then a G, back to a D, and then E minor, then a C major again, G to a D, then in C major. Now, am I playing G major? No, because the way the notes line up, I'm actually playing an A major, okay? Now, I'm going to switch to this schematic called the 6th, 5th, and 4th string and show you what I mean by using the draw function here. Okay, so when I put the capo on the 2nd fret, and I'm going to use that by a red line here, and let me make that red line just a tad bit thicker so that we can see it. By a red line here, you can see there's some notes when I fill in the A major chord. I'm actually playing A, D flat, or we call it C sharp, and then when I play that G major chord, I'm playing another A. And I'm using the open notes, which is an E here, then another A here, and then a C sharp there, and this becomes an A major chord instead of a G. But Mike, I learned it as G. I know you did, and that's okay. It is kind of a G chord form. However, because of where your hand is, it becomes an A major, which makes playing with a capo gives you the ability to play in any key you want to. What do I mean by that? Well, let's switch back for a second and go to our capo chart that I created. If we wanted to play, we already played this song Wagon Wheel in 3 songs, G, C, and D. We know it in G, C, and D. Well, this capo chart will help you place the capo where you need to go in order to play in any key that you see. Let's say that somebody gives you a chord chart, it's an A flat. You're like, oh no, I don't know how to play an A flat. Well, go down here. It says capo 1. Use the G. That's an A flat chord now. Now, it may be a G form that you use in your hands, but because of where the capo covering for us, it's now an A flat. So that's how you use your capo. And the way to get used to transposing things on the fly is just practice, getting used to it, and learning your keys and scales and stuff, which I have that booklet, Basic Theory, will help you do that. So the 6th string and the 5th string and the 4th string image here tells you that the roots of each one. In other words, when we're using the G major chord, we have that G right here on the 6th string. Now, wherever you have that finger on when you're playing that G chord, that becomes the root of the chord. So let's just say I need to play in B flat. Well, first I need to find B flat, which is between frets 5 and 7, so it's fret 6. Okay. Well, now I have to place my capo where it would go when I would play it in G. How many steps back is that? 1, 2, 3. That's 4 steps back. So I have a G. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Or sorry, I have a B flat. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where I put my capo. And that becomes a B flat chord. Ooh, sounds so good. Now, what if I use the C major formats? Well, I need to know the root note in C. I'll label it right here for you. E is right here. Bobble. So, that's on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Okay. Now, I have to know that 1, 2, 3, 4 steps again, that is where I need to put my capo. So, if I want to use the key of D, I need to put my capo at 1, 2, 3, 4 steps back. And now that becomes a D major chord. So, and then, when you're using the D major chord, your D is actually on the 4th string open. So that's really easy because anytime we move up, if we wanted to say D and go to the key of G, we'd have to put our capo on the G here, which is on the 5th fret, and then we can play a D chord. And that's really a G major chord. But we're using a D form. So it's interesting when you use the capo how much stuff you can play. You can play in every key now because of the capo. Now, give me a second. My guitar is going out of tune. So that's how we use a capo. But what if we are capo-less? Well, if we are capo-less, then we have to start using bar chords. Now remember, I said that the roots of the chords is where you play. Well, if you look at this schematic, bar chords, it has roots as well. Okay, now the first form is like an F major form. Now, the root right here is F. If we move this up, F, F sharp, G, A flat, and fill in the chords, we get the major chord. So this is an A flat major chord. Why? Because I'm on the A flat and I'm forming the major chord. Now, if we form the minor chord, it's now an A minor. Okay? We also have a fifth string version where the root is on the fifth. So if I'm here, then I get, let's see, that's the fourth string, that's D flat. Now if I use the minor form, it's D flat minor. What's that mean? Watch this, wagon wheel with bar chords in the key of G. And it goes G major here, then a D major there, E minor here, and then C major there. G to a D, then a C. But what if I wanted to play C? Well, we start in the C, and it goes C, G, A minor, F. So I had a C major here to a G major there, A minor here to an F major there, C, then a G, then a F major. Now again, using these bar chords, you can play in any key, you just have to map it out. But when you're playing these bar chords, your hands are going to get really strong, especially right in this area, in this muscle. It's okay. Embrace the suck. It's gonna, that's how it is. Now you'll see I have green and blue notes. You can do 4-string versions of these. Oh, sorry. I found the 4-string versions to be easier for students who don't have large hands. So there are the blue, and in the blue here, those are bar chords, 4-string bar chords that are slightly easier, not completely easier, but slightly easier than the full bar chords. Okay, now let's say, okay, well that's a lot of moving. Well, let me introduce you to what is called the caged system. Okay, now if we play the key C, or chord C, A, G, E major, and D major, all these chords, even though they're open, are movable. Yes, you heard me, movable. What does that mean? So if we take, let's say the C, now we'll have to rework our hands a little bit. But if we fill it in, using our first finger to bar the first 3 strings, and then fill in our C major, following here, we get this. That's now a C sharp major, D major, E flat major, and then it keeps going and going and going and going. Now these are movable chords, all of them. Just like the A major format, open chord, is really our bar chord that we learned in the previous page. The G major, now the G major, I sacrifice a lot of stuff, but if you move that up and bar, yeah, that is a flat major chord, but it's uncomfortable. So usually what I do is I switch my fingers, and I either play the bottom notes, or I switch my fingers and I play the top notes. Even your E major form right here is really that bar chord that we just learned, and that moves all the way up. Again, with the D major. The D major, if you put your fingers back and recalibrate your other fingers for the D major chord, those become another chord as you're moving up. So let's actually look at the cage system using the C major chord. Okay, so it says here we first have a C major chord here, but if we move to the 3rd fret, we have the C major chord here using that A major or that bar chord. Okay, now if we keep this here and move up, we have another one using the G format, which I'm going to do the full version here. Whew, this one, that's also a G major chord. If we move up, that's also a G major chord, and then if we move up, or sorry, C major chord, that's a C major chord. So we have a C major chord here, 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 and what happens is you're back to a C major chord here. Okay, now you're probably asking, well, why do we use these? Well, if you don't want to move around a lot, you need to learn the cage system so that you're not moving around. Again, wagon wheel using the cage system. 1, 2, 3, and we have a G major here to a D. Or sorry, yeah, let's do that. Sorry, let's try that again. That's not a G major. Let's do a G major here. We got a G. No, that's an F. Sorry about it. There we go. Now I'm using the D chord. Got a G major here to a D major there, E minor, then you go and C major here, back to the G, then a D, then to the C major, then a G major here to a D major there, E minor, then you got a C major there, G. Okay, now what I was doing is using the different forms of the cage system, and you notice I didn't have to move my hands a lot to get those chords. Now, for me, I sacrificed a little bit of the notes to get the main chord across, but the cage system just allows you to know that each open chord that you use, both major and minor, can be used in a movable format. Okay? So that being said, let's move on to the last 2 pages. The last 2 pages are dedicated to full-on 2-octave scales. What do I mean by that? So the first thing we have here is a major scale. It's an F-sharp major scale. Now that, like our F-sharp major scale, is all the notes you can play on the F sharp major scale, and that's, yes, this is a movable scale. So I can do this in G. And you're probably wondering, well, Mike, why do we need that? Well, because some notes don't start with just G. Sometimes they start on 6. Like, oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. See, that is starting on a lower note than the G. So we have to have more notes in order to accomplish that. If you just try to play it with your G scale, well, you're going to miss out on the notes that you need. So the first form of the major scale I just did. The second one is if you're starting on the 5th fret. So right here, where I'm on the 5th string, 2nd fret, this is a B major scale. That'll give you more notes to play. Next one's a minor scale on the 6th, and this is F sharp minor. Now you guys take this much slower with your metronome like we did with the 1 octave. But this is me just introducing it to you. Again, minor on the 5th string. Okay, now the rule still applies, just like your 1 octave. Wherever your finger starts, that is the name of the scale. Just like I just start on the 5th string, 2nd fret, that is a B minor scale. Also have the 2 octave pentatonic and blues as well. Oh, sorry. That's on the 6th string. was on the 5th string, and that was F sharp and B. This next one is blues. That's on the 5th string, or 6th string, sorry, and this is on the 5th string. Okay, now those become great exercises too to get your hands warmed up. Okay, but the 2 octave will give you the full range for you to play any melody that you want to. Okay, so guys, this is just basic. This is stuff that this is the stuff that you'll hammer every day when you're practicing your guitar to mastery. And these are the basic skills that'll help in different areas. But these are just the basics techniques to get you playing. As far as timing and rhythm, I'll come up with some more exercises for you guys, but start with these basics, just getting these things under your fingers, and we'll talk about rhythm and playing next time. See ya.